Until recently, I don't think a book ever made me misty-eyed and brought me close to tears. I must be getting soft in my old age, as I'm in my 40s now, because Pursuit of Fruit by Lucas made me teary-eyed, because the gardening lady who helped us learn about discipleship in that book reminded me of my mom, who went home to be with the Lord 5 years ago. And then Ken Yates wrote Elizabeth on his daughter, who is Christ's Medal of Honor recipient, and that also had me choking back tears on multiple points. And now I'm getting teary-eyed over a book that I can't even imagine how it could make me want to cry. And that is a commentary on the book of James. How did a commentary on the book of James make me all misty-eyed? Well, I just finished teaching through James in my church earlier this year, and I was dismayed by the commentaries I was reading and how often I felt like they were just butchering James's letter. And I was dreaming for just a few people to look at James and see how it was more unified together in its theming and not broken up into little pieces that really harm your ability to read it properly. And finally, Tom Eckman, I don't even know who he is, brings us an amazing commentary on James, where he shows how the book is unified, and at times I found myself enjoying it so much that it made me want to cry. My only complaint is that I would love for him to release a longer version for pastors that got a little bit more in depth than this one did, but for what this is, it is fantastic, and let me tell you why. Welcome to Rev Reads. If you want to discover more books that will help you to see the life-changing teaching of God's Word, please subscribe to the channel in order to stay up to date with my most current reviews. Also, please like and share this work with others to help other people learn about the book of Tom Eckman. So Tom comes to us with a team of Butch Enterkin, George Bryson, and Brent Bridgman to give us a commentary that is first and foremost an ideal small church Bible study. It is formatted in such a way that it is both perfect in length and has discussion questions for a group of Christians to walk through over the course of 8 weeks. The reading in this book will not be burdensome for any in the group. The language is easy to grasp. So first and foremost, this book is a great group Bible study. Second, this book is really good for pastors and students of James who want to study through the book on their own. Not only do they do a wonderful job explaining the text, but the questions will really help the reader think through how to apply the book into their daily life. But what makes this book so great that it stands apart from the rest of the commentaries is Tom's view that the book is unified. I was one of those people who used to see the book of James as a collection of little sermons, as if James was writing his greatest hits and sending it to Christians all around the Roman Empire based on what he was preaching in Jerusalem. But what Tom shows is that this book has a singular, consistent theme: growing in wisdom. And he does a great job showing how that theme develops and moves throughout the book, how each section drives the reader into the next section on growing in wisdom. James is helping to refine the Christian so we can walk in our daily lives with wisdom. As an example of how Tom moves us from one section to another, I want to share what he wrote at the end of his chapter on James chapter 2, verses 1 through 13, and how that section of James is not a separate section from his teaching on faith and works, but leads into it. Tom writes, "This is the perfect beginning to James's discussion in 2:14 through 26. Either we can fail to act in line with what we know, our faith, by showing partiality and judging, or we can move our faith forward, grow in wisdom and maturity, by doing good works that are in line with the truth, like Abraham and Rahab, who lined up their faith with their actions. This entire discussion is not about our eternal destination. It is about growing in and exercising wisdom as a believer." So Tom will help you see how James is making a solid, singular argument on how faith without works is not non-existent faith. Dead faith is not an unbeliever without faith. Dead faith is faith that is not growing by lining our work up with the truth that we believe. And I think this is obvious if you view chapter 2 as a whole. And it drives me that I don't see more people making this connection. Most commentaries act as if James 2:14 through 26 fell out of the sky and landed into the middle of this letter unrelated to the context around it. And Tom helps the student of James to see how James flows, rather elegantly I might add, from one topic to another. But not in a way where they are each distinct topics, but where one builds on what came before. And James 2:14 through 26, and on James 2:14 through 26, George Bryson has a great illustration on the illogical nature of the common view that faith alone can't be alone in the appendix. Tom and Brent also have this chart in his section on chapter 4 that illustrate how James is teaching that the unwise do the opposite of what the readers already know they should do. It's a great chart because it helps to illustrate how the book is a whole. And it does this so well. And James is making the point that his readers should already know what to do, but his readers aren't doing what they know, or at least they're not doing what they should know consistently. And that makes them unwise or foolish. I don't know about you, but do you ever have a feeling while studying James or teaching this book where you think, this is all really basic stuff. I should know this. I should live this out, but oh, how often do I fail to live out this book? And that's the feeling that James is going for. We have already looked intently at the teachings of Christ. We know the scriptures as a whole. We should know what to do. And now James is coming alongside to give us the encouragement to do what we know, which further enforces that James 2:14 through 26 is not about having this self-focused introspection where we wonder if we've really done enough good works to show that we have saving faith, but it's about putting into practice what we already believe, so our faith can be productive for others and for ourselves, and ultimately for the glory of God. The only place I found myself in disagreement with the authors was on the rich in chapter 5. They refer to the rich as the evil rich who are unbelievers. And I still see these wealthy individuals as the rich in the church. They are believers who need a stern rebuke. So I take an issue with their view on those individuals, but it's kind of a small issue overall in the book. They deliver some quality instruction on prayer in the last chapter. I just love the emphasis on prayer being what should sustain the believer through trials. We need to be going to God himself. And it was a great way for James to end this letter on wisdom, applying the truth and knowledge of God that we already possess. But the only way to get true biblical wisdom is to go to God and ask for it, to pray for it. And if we don't have wisdom, it's not like we're a bunch of idiots that can't have wisdom. If we don't have wisdom, it's not because God is callous and wants us to live in the dark, but the reason we don't have wisdom is because we didn't ask for it. Overall, this is, in a very short length, one of the best commentaries I have read on James, because Tom and his co-authors do the great work of showing how it all fits together. James is not a collection of random puzzle pieces from different puzzles that were formed together in a single book, but is a sustained, coherent call for us to walk in wisdom. And I believe you will be helped in your wise walking if you read the early Epistle of James by Tom Eckman.